What up, HyperChange? Welcome to another episode. Today we're talking about G to a Milli. Haven't made an update in a while. Fired up to talk about G to a Milli, my open source portfolio challenge where I just build my portfolio, share it with y'all, tell you what moves I'm making, full transparency. Let's run through the scorecard and then what trades I've done since the last episode, which was a while ago, but I don't make trades that often, and I just did last week, so I wanted to make this update. But anyway, here's the scorecard, day 557 of the G to a Milli challenge. The account's now worth $39,455. I've added, if you're curious, I've deposited $26,770. That's the cash number. So I've turned that into $39,455. If you would invest in the S&P at the same time, you would have $31,175, so up 16.5% versus 47.4% for me. So doing a little better for now. Who knows if it'll last? Not trying to get cocky, but S&P has been doing great too. There's a little chart of the performance of the portfolio since we've been getting going here. And then here is the breakdown of the positions. This is where it gets juicy. This is where we're getting into it. So 39% Bitcoin, 61% Tesla. So what has happened since the last episode? I want to show you my actual public account so you can see what I'm working with here. There's the $39,000. As you can see, Tesla and Bitcoin already up a little in Bitcoin since I moved up to that. Doing well in Tesla. And now I want to show y'all what I've been actually up to since the last episode. So pretty much just been buying Tesla. Those $250 deposits hit every 2 weeks. Then I just buy Tesla, 1,000 shares there. Kept buying more Tesla, and you can see these prices are all over the place. 296 I bought Tesla. Here I bought it at 317. Here I bought it at 240. Here I bought it at 350. So you can see I've been all over the place with my Tesla buys, but that's not the most exciting thing. The craziest thing I did is, besides just kind of like step by step buying a little more Tesla with all my $250 recurring deposits, I sold out of my Airbnb and my Coinbase. So you can see that here. Sold out of my Coinbase stock, which was a great trade for me. I think I almost doubled my money, maybe even more on that. Airbnb was about flattish. So move this $15,000 or $14,000 in gains into Bitcoin, as you can see. And was able to get into Bitcoin at 101,000. So I've been meaning to do this for a while. If you watch the channel, you know I'm super bullish on Bitcoin. So now here's the portfolio, Bitcoin and Tesla. So I've been nibbling on Tesla up to 74 shares here in the account, but Bitcoin 0.1444 Bitcoin. So that is the breakdown. That's how we got to where we are today. I took my gains in Coinbase, cashed out of Airbnb, moved it into Bitcoin. Why? Let's break it down. So Bitcoin has been one of my largest positions, been owning Bitcoin for over 10 years now in my investing, history, I guess. And Bitcoin is, I would say still to this day, like when I was in college and came out with HyperChange, like the two biggest trends and like needle movers of HyperChange in the world that became my two biggest investments were Bitcoin and Tesla, my two biggest fascinations. So those have literally been my two biggest investments for years and years now. They're the two, still they are in G to a Milli and my other accounts. So I love Bitcoin and Tesla. Now, I guess I've been kind of waiting to add to Bitcoin ever since it went past 100K. I mean, my theory here is that for so long, the biggest risk to Bitcoin, if they make it, would be the US government banning them. So, and now the reverse has happened with Donald Trump elected and having a pro-Bitcoin administration. The US government's not only not selling their Bitcoin, but it's openly accepting it, is bullish on Bitcoin. Then you have this massive spending bill that passes that is even more enforcing this idea that we need a check and balance on the global fiat financial system, which should be Bitcoin. So I feel like Bitcoin has arrived in this moment where, yes, it's worth $2 trillion. Yes, that's massive, but it's also just still in its early innings in terms of institutionalization in the financial system. I think it's more of a blue chip bet. I would say it's the only real crypto with a real world use case, digital gold, inflation hedge. So gold is 14 trillion, Bitcoin's only 2 trillion. From that perspective, it could be very cheap. US GDP, 28 trillion a year. If just 1% of that flows into Bitcoin, 280 billion a year, I think we would be getting, that would be enough to dramatically increase Bitcoin price. So 2 trillion seems big, but it's a drop in the bucket of the financial system. And I think now that we have, the Fed of the US is holding on to it, maybe buying more. Other governments around the world continue to accelerate their buying. the ETF has gotten approved, so now Wall Street's got their hands in it. I think it's been institutionalized, so the risk of banning Bitcoin's low. Meanwhile, it hasn't really broken out of this 100,000 range in a while. So I don't know if Bitcoin, I do think it will be $1 million of Bitcoin eventually, and eventually maybe even $10 million of Bitcoin. But it's going to take a while. It's going to be a blue chip bet. And the reason why I sold Coinbase, I guess I'll start, is I was up huge on it. I love Coinbase. I love it as a way to play Bitcoin. But now Coinbase's market cap has moved to like 100 billion, which is almost like, 5% of all Bitcoin. So I don't know how big they can get as a percentage of Bitcoin. That's just an interesting way to think about it. But they are also competing head on with Robinhood to hold crypto. I personally use Coinbase, I'm still 100% Coinbase customer with my crypto, but I guess except for public here. But yeah, so I just feel like Robinhood and Public are kind of competing with Coinbase. I do think Coinbase is crushing it, an amazing company, love Brian Armstrong, but I felt like the stock had run up a ton and other people were competing with the Bitcoin buy, so I just wanted to actually own Bitcoin. Now with Airbnb, that's another company where love Airbnb, been a user of them forever, love Brian Chesky. I've been wanting this stock to move for like a year. If you've been watching me, I've been owning the stock and it's doing okay, but they had this big release in May that was supposed to be like new products, and it basically was revamped experiences. And I do think Airbnb as a platform can get beyond the home, but they're not doing it fast enough to expand their revenue growth beyond like 15% a year. So they're not really growing. They're a cash cow. Brian Chesky's selling his stock in a programmatic sale, not like a huge chunk of it, but he kind of sells a little bit of his stock here and there. So I wasn't able to get in touch with Airbnb IR, even though I made a bunch of videos and emailed them. So I just kind of like lost excitement for Airbnb. And I feel like they're a great company, super solid financial footing. But to me right now, like the things I know the best and where my conviction was highest was just Bitcoin and Tesla. So sold my Airbnb, sold my Coinbase, moved that into Bitcoin, feeling great about that. Now we have this interesting dichotomy because did I want to go all into Tesla? Because I love my Tesla stock. I did sell a little in another account just because I had to pay for some stuff and some other schemes I'm doing. So I got hate online for that, but it is what it is. But in terms of my G to a milli and just in general, my philosophy is long term, don't get shaken out. You got to have conviction. So, I'm holding the most, I think net, just if you're watching this, so I guess I could fill you in. I sold like 10-ish% of my overall Tesla stock, maybe 15%, because I sold a little more than that and then bought it back, and it's just complicated. But I'm always thinking it through. And I think Tesla right now is in this, and the reason why I'm not all in on Tesla right now in this account is because we are at such a crucial, critical moment for Tesla that I think has insane risk. The company has essentially bet their business model on Robotaxi. Anything could happen with Robotaxi rollout that would crumble the stock if it gets delayed, if legislators beef with it, if there's a crash and the media runs with that. I just think there's a ton of risk with Tesla stock right now. And they've kind of abandoned this idea of a cheaper car. They're going in all in on autonomy and Optimus, which I think could pay off huge, but also has the ability for a hiccup when you're at an 80 billion revenue run rate that's declining and you're worth over $1 trillion. It's just this we've never seen a company $1 trillion that's betting the farm on this bigger business model. And that's what Tesla and Elon are doing right now. So I feel like, I don't know how to describe it. This is this very interesting risk reward moment for Tesla. And I have so much 61 of the portfolio in Tesla. That's pretty much what I have of my overall net worth in Tesla. So a huge amount of my money's in Tesla. So one little move I'm kind of scheming here is Bitcoin's like my safe bet. That's kind of like crushing it, disrupting the financial system. I still think could be a 10x in a few years, maybe 5 or 10 years. Tesla could be a 10x, 20x in a few years, especially with Optimus, but it has higher risk. So I'm kind of, I feel dumb saying this, but I'm kind of like there chilling. Like I would say Bitcoin's almost like cash for me. Like if Tesla starts crumbling because there's a crash or something happens or there's a roadblock, then I can sell my Bitcoin, move that into Tesla. So I am keeping that like move on my back burner right now, my G to a milli. I was just in Austin doing the Robotaxi launch. The flip side of this being a risky time for Tesla is like risk reward. So what's the reward for the risk they're taking? Unprecedented. It would be the largest company in the planet. The reinventing the automobile to the era of autonomy is much bigger than electric. This is as big as like the automobile itself disrupting the horse. This idea that it can drive itself without a human, that cognitive load of perception and controlling the vehicle in urban environments goes to a computer, and we don't actually need a human sitting in there. It seems normal and chill once you're used to FSD, once you see Waymo and Tesla, but the economic implications of this are profound. So I think even though it looks like it's just a Model Y doing FSD, like this is really a new fork in the road for the transportation system that humans use. And we're at the beginning of the autonomous era. Tesla's not Robotaxi isn't going to get as big as Uber or taxis. It's going to get way bigger. It's going to change how we even own cars. It's going to disrupt what car ownership is. People won't even buy cars in the future. That will be weird and crazy. So that's one reason why I'm staying long and strong on Tesla is this big vision they have is it's hard to wrap your head around how much potential it has because it's uncapped. It's disruption. When Apple created the smartphone, not really a phone, but was a computerized the phone, it became way bigger than the biggest phone company ever. When Tesla computerized the car, they're gonna become way bigger than the biggest car company ever. And this idea that it's a new on-demand deployable logistics infrastructure for people or things in any city. You could have Optimus robots delivering packages. You can have these cars driving people around. And Tesla's gotten the cost to build this autonomous device down to $25,000 with Cybercab versus $100,000 for Waymo, which is already dominating and crushing it. I mean, I have so much excitement and potential for Tesla in the long run. Like, I do think, like, yeah, I don't want to make, I'll make a crazy prediction here. One of my predictions, and this is never financial advice, this is just me being transparent, but like, I think if Tesla goes, I have 74.5 shares of Tesla now in the account, which is if I traded all my Bitcoin for it, it'd be another 50 shares. But let's say Tesla goes down 33%, I can get another 75 shares of Tesla, and then I have 150 shares. I honestly think that might take me to a milli because I would only need like $8,000 a share for Tesla to hit a milli at 150 shares. And honestly, I think Tesla might hit $8,000 a share. It'd be like $30 trillion market cap, but it might get there, especially when you got inflation and blah, blah, blah. So Tesla, it's crazy to me that Tesla and Bitcoin have been I'm looking at my portfolio now and like I still own Tesla and Bitcoin. And those are like the two number one things I've been holding for my whole life, 12 years now, pretty much. Like invest since I was like 19. So, I mean, I guess Tesla and Bitcoin's a little less than that, but for the past decade, I've been long these things. So it's interesting to think of me. I almost feel like a washed up dinosaur in that like I'm still riding the wins from like 10 years ago that I came up with. I don't have any like new breakthrough wins, but the truth is, I've watched Tesla and Bitcoin go from, $3 billion, $5 billion, $10 billion assets to $2 trillion and $1 trillion assets respectively. And I think I'm going to watch them go to 10 trillion plus each, 20 trillion plus each. So I don't want to get off these winners that I'm on and that I understand the best. And so I'm always keeping my eye out of like another stock that I want to do a video on that's super cool is Costco. I love Costco. I mean, I love artisanal food. If you know about the food and supply chain industry, Costco is like the creme de la creme. I think that's an amazing business worth $450 billion, but it's a little too boring and slow growth for me. But I am scheming on it. That's one of like my ideas to add to the portfolio. Another one would potentially be Robinhood. Robinhood has been on fire. Vlad has been crushing it. So I just got to give them props for that. I think Palantir is an amazing company, a little too expensive, don't understand it well enough. So I'm trying to keep my eye out for like what the next great GOAT company or investment is for my G2MLE account. But for right now, I'm riding Tesla and Bitcoin. Like I still think they're kind of like big and boring when it comes to innovation, but they're the big, boring innovation leaders with like some big moves left in the tank. Even though we think of Tesla and Bitcoin as like very big and successful up till now, I still feel like they're in their infancy for actually changing the world. Like they kind of got out of this bubble of like being babies and trying to find their way. And now they're in the mode of like, Bitcoin's going to take over the financial system and become the reserve currency instead of the dollar. Tesla's going to change, not just sell 1% of cars that are electric and become like one of the world's largest automakers. They're going to change what an automaker is and reinvent the transportation industry. So even though it feels like these things are huge, the actual change in society almost hasn't even happened yet from Tesla and Bitcoin. So very pumped to be long. Who knows how long the portfolio will stay the same. What am I going to do with the little $250 automatic deposits that are coming to the account. Tough to know. Maybe I'll keep just adding to my Tesla shares. But honestly, I would love from y'all, what other companies should I look at for G2 Milli? Leave me some pitches below. And I would love to look and kind of scheme with y'all. And but anyway, this has been G2 Milli. Hit me in the comments. Let's scheme. Hope y'all enjoyed this update. And yeah, we'll keep it going. Day hunt 557, G2 Milli. Still going. See y'all next time.